Anonymous. We are Legion. We watch. We listen. We expose. And tonight...
me, who is not anonymous, is going to talk about ghost gadgets, gizmos, all the tools paranormal investigators use in their investigations, as well as the faker ghost hunters. So you've seen these things on every investigation, a variety of them. Okay, we've got music now. We've got our spooky picture. We got the best we can do at the moment. Let's knock this out. They claim this music is no copyright, but we'll find out if I get my butt kicked. Hi there, it's Leanne the Cleaner. And I want to talk about, I may have said this before, but I'm learning, okay? Yeah. I'm hopefully getting better at making my videos, but I can't really edit, so it's basically the raw stream. I have managed to figure out how to pause it, how to, put in different backgrounds so that it's, a little more interesting. I don't mind my face on the video, but I tend to make weird faces and move around a lot and do things that are not conducive to a good video. They're probably okay for a live stream, but until I get, the magic 500 people or 100 people, I can't live stream. I am very thrilled that one of my shorts got 86 views, which is phenomenal, considering I have 10, 11 followers. That's okay. That's okay. We hopefully I will grow, and this channel will become something people will enjoy to watch, but we do what we can do. Not my fault if a cat comes racing through here and interrupts the whole thing, okay? So, gizmos, gadgets, and ghost hunting gear. Yes, I use them, and I have a different view on them than most people I have heard. There are people that use them and like them. There is the other side that says they're all fake. Yes, I have watched Kenny Biddle videos. I've watched many of the debunker videos, and still, in my stubborn way, I disagree. So let's go through. I don't have a script, so I hope not to forget anything. I might have to make a part 2 later if I forget things. Let's go through some of the major points that I hear about online, in lives, discussions, and such. First is, they aren't made for that. This is something people say constantly. They're not made for ghost hunting. Okay. Have you ever heard of bubble wrap? Of course you have. Bubble wrap was originally invented as a textured wallpaper. Of course, it turned out to be not very popular, but luckily manufacturers saw it and said, hey, that's great to wrap our things in to ship them places. Saccharin and NutraSweet were both being developed as commercial glues. Saccharin was actually in the 1910s, 10 to 20 years, was being developed as trying to find another use for coal tars, if that makes it sound great. And they were sitting at a table, they were having their lunch, and of course the lab restrictions weren't as huge back then, you know, with no OSHA, there's a lot of bad manufacturing and research went on back then. But anyway, the researchers would be eating their lunch and taste something sweet. So they tasted the NutraSweet, the saccharin. It wasn't called saccharin. I don't know what it's called at the time, but they tried that and said, oh, wow, this is sweet. And we had a sweetener. NutraSweet was a bit different. They were trying to find another like super glue, basically. And one of the lab assistants, they had done their stuff, right? And the compound was sitting there waiting for testing. And the head guy, researcher, told one of the minions to test it. Well, the minion misheard it and thought he said taste it. And so when the researcher checked back and asked him about it, he said, well, it's very sweet. And the guy's like, what? Why is it sweet? He said, well, I tasted it. And he's like, why did you taste it? Because this was into the more recent times when we knew enough not to taste strange chemicals. And the researcher said, I told you to test it, not taste it. But they had now found another sweetener. There are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of products we use every day that weren't invented, weren't built for what we use them today. So the fact that these ghost hunting devices weren't invented with ghost hunting in mind is fairly meaningless in modern times. I mean, you've all heard of Rogaine, right? The miracle stuff that grows your hair. It was developed as a blood pressure drug to lower blood pressure. And they found a side effect was that people grew hair. So it was taken off the market as a blood pressure medication and turned into a hair growing medication, minoxidil. I mean, yes, I could continue on naming examples all day long, but the basic fact is just because something isn't developed for a specific purpose doesn't mean that it can't be used for that purpose or that it might not work for that purpose. Now, Because yes, I've seen them take them apart and show what the diodes and the capacitors and all the little bits inside, what they say can't possibly detect spirits or spirit energy or spirit activity. But there's something else that I have to mention, a little thing called Napster. For those of you too young for the Napster generation, Napster was a program that crawled the internet, compiling music and songs, which then you could download for free. Which at this point, with AI and all the other programs, it doesn't seem so as impossible. But at the time, it was impossible. It obviously somebody made it work, but to the common computer minds, to tech gurus, this was something that was impossible to do, and nobody tried it because, according to the math, the science, it was impossible. And some guy in his garage, all the computer stuff starts in garages, I don't know why. Maybe my channel would be good if I started it in my garage instead of an office. Side note, ADHD, squirrel. This guy made Napster, and yes, it was a huge deal because it was supposedly impossible. And of course, as it got more popular and people were just downloading songs right and left, artists got involved, music companies got involved, and they were all extremely upset, to say the least, because they weren't getting a dime off of any of this music that was being downloaded. And so Napster died a sad death. I considered using it. Everybody was using it. I've considered it, but I was just like, no. And it's not because would be overly ethical, although I do like to make sure people are paid for their work. And we won't talk about AI right now because that's basically Napster 2.0 at this point. But I'm not generally one of the trendy people that jump on something when it comes out, so I did not get on the Napster bandwagon. But anyway, where was I? Oh, geez. Lost train of thought. Impossible things. Yes, so you might think that, yes, people say it's impossible that these devices can pick up ghosts, presence, spirits, anything to do with spirits. And in the same, maybe not the same breath, but the same live, they'll turn around and say, well, we know nothing about ghosts. We don't know how to detect them. We don't know how to communicate with them. We know nothing about them. And it's like, okay, you know nothing about this. I mean, it's kind of agreed at this point that they are energy beings. And there have been two different studies, or two different, whatever. One is that humans lose, it's a tiny, micro amount of weight at the moment of death, their weight goes down. Now, it has nothing to do with them evacuating their bowels or their stop breathing, because they're on a large table that holds everything of them, head to toe. It's monitoring them as they're breathing. It's monitoring their weight the whole time for any fluctuation. And at the moment of death, there is a drop in weight, and it stays that way. The other thing, which I have experience with, is that the human body has a, I don't know, micro amount, but a tiny electrical charge. Some people have bigger electrical charges. I mean, you know, I haven't studied tons of people. I did, with the right sophisticated electronic equipment, you can measure the electrical charge of a human body. And believe it or not, I did that in shop class back in high school, which would be too long for me to say. 50 years maybe. So the technology has been around a long time. And we all tested our bodies to see how much electricity, what kind of electric charge our body had. So I have knowledge of that. I have experience of that myself. I have no access to the quality of equipment at this point to do that anymore, but take my word for it, or don't. Google is your friend sometimes. Cat, would you stop it? Yeah, okay, clawed up. So we do from those two things, my opinion, I should just keep saying my opinion, because I know somebody will argue it, and it's really, this is my thoughts, is spirits are energy beings. Now, whether they are in a parallel dimension, behind what, they call the veil, if they are just in a, slightly out of sync with us, or they are all around us sharing our space, that's what we need to learn. That's things to learn. We also don't know there's also the time, and well, besides dimension, what dimension they're in, there's also the time question. If time moves at the same rate where they are as we are, and where this comes up is to consider, okay, you get answers on equipment and they make no sense. Now, my thought is, well, do you know if they're answering your question, or if they're answering question that an investigator asked a day ago, or a week ago, or months ago, or will ask in the future, because their time runs different than ours. And maybe where they are is timeless, so they give an answer and it could get to us at any point in our time. So that is, okay, first off, I don't use the ovulus or the spirit box. That would be this here, which people call a broken radio. The Spirit Box, Ovulus, yes, I have tried them. They are too damn annoying for me. Oh my God. It drives me nuts, and I really dislike it when people use it on an investigation. It's like, why do you want to listen to radio static? Plus, when I would run it, it's like, okay, after how many times am I going to want to listen to the same bits of a Fred Meyer grocery store commercial? You know, because I can pick stuff out that, okay, you're trolling the radio frequencies. I'm not getting words out other than what is popping through music, pops of music, pops of commercials. Things that tell me nothing. They really don't. I mean, there's something I have to sort of backtrack to, which is very important. These are all tools. And any tool, you have to use it properly for a good result. I mean, you can hammer a nail with a excuse me, with a wrench, and it'll do a half-assed job. It'll get it done, but you'd be far better using the proper tool, which would be a hammer. Cut there, not actually a cut, a pause. I had to get water. So, yes, I have tried I've tried those things, and Ovulus, etc. Too annoying. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I was on the wrong thing. I was on to... Oh, sit still and be quiet. It's not that bad. My Lord. It's like you've never heard a bad YouTube video before. Proper tool for the proper job. And we don't know how well these tools work, but they also have to be used in the proper manner. My opinion, my thought is that, well, consider this. You're building a house, and you hammer in one nail on one corner, and then you go to another corner and hammer in a nail, and then maybe you go to the far end of the house and hammer in a nail. You're not going to make great progress on building this house. Which, as far as paranormal goes, that's sort of what your people are doing when they're doing paranormal investigations. They drop into one place, you know, they do their a couple hours or their overnight, whatever, but it's the same as, you know, mowing one square of your lawn and then leaving to mow a foot of your back lawn. It's my opinion that for these tools to work properly, you have to do repeated investigations at one location, you know, one house, one wherever. And it's hard on paid places because you can't afford to rent it forever. You hope to catch something in your rental time. But I have seen some investigators now who are making repeated trips to the same location and doing multiple investigations of one location, which I think is great. I think that's excellent because, you know, ideally, if you had a location, say you bought 30 East Drive or, I don't know, the Sarah Winchester House, some places that are known or thought to be very active, you know, it's a big money thing, okay? First off, no, people can't do this because it's a big money thing, but cover the place with cameras, cover it with sensor devices, EMF detectors, temperature detectors, every motion detectors, everything. And let that run 24/7 for, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, a month, however long you could. Yeah, it's a lot of data to go through, a lot of videos to watch, and it's a huge undertaking, and it would need an entire team. But I think that way you would actually catch activity when it happens, rather than going to a place one time and hoping you catch activity. Well, you know, spirits don't perform on command most times. I have seen it a few times where they did respond on command, but, you know, that is sometimes more luck than anything else. So, in my opinion, most people are using these tools wrongly by not, you know, go once and you get kind of a baseline and you go again and again and again and see what your readings change, see how they change, see where there's hot spots, cold spots. And over that time, it's more scientific because you're testing with a set of parameters that's constant, equipment that's constant, in a location that's constant. So there is that. I use a lot of these devices. These are all pictures. I don't have mine available at the time, right now, for what I have, but, you know, you've got temperature detector. Look, I don't know what all these things are because it's a random picture. EMF meter, tape recorder, digital tape recorder. You have cat balls, you have dowsing rods, you have a UV flashlight. We have a regular flashlight. We have something that just looks cool. This is a fancy motion detector. You know, I don't know if it has EMF built into it. From what I read, it was just a motion detector or vibration detector. Movement around and near it makes its eyes go off. I don't have one of those. I have a cheap Halloween skull as a motion detector. Yes, I have cat balls. I often will put them in like the little cup that comes with the little egg carton cup, or on a piece of cloth or rug, so they don't roll, because they don't move because the floors are uneven, or because you stepped on a board and that made a vibration. As for dowsing rods, I know there's a lot. That dowsing rods come from hill country, from mountain billies, hillbillies, Appalachians, Rocky Mountains. Where I'm from, people don't dig a well until they've had the dowser out and douse for where to put the well. And from what I've seen, the dowsing rods are more accurate than many of the scientific surveys and geologic surveys and all that stuff. Most people can't afford deep ground penetrating radar or anything like that. And yeah, well building in most places is pretty much hit or miss. Are we going to find water here? Or is it a dry hole and we have to dig elsewhere? But yes, in my experience, dowsing rods work. And there's many things you can do so that your muscle, twitches in your hands or whatnot, don't affect them. They put them in you can put them in a little metal sleeve. Some people hook a copper wire. They put them on a stand and hook a copper wire from the dowsing rods to themselves. But for my money, they work. Of course, I'm from the land of where myths, legends, superstitions are a part of everyday life. Things that you don't do. And, whether or not it makes sense to you, you don't do it because you were raised that way. Raised to, not put your hat on the bed. If you put your hat on the bed, you'll die. Of course, everybody dies eventually, but this is supposed to be an immediate death. Seeing blood on the moon, somebody's going to die. And somebody did die after a blood moon, but that's a story for another time. So, and basically, there's a lot of inexpensive things you can use in lieu of the hundreds of dollars of kits and things like that. Halloween decorations that are noise activated or motion activated. But yes, another thing, I'm just really trying to push buttons on every single debunker and person here that lives, and I've seen how people are talked about in groups behind their back when they don't toe the corporate line, as it were. Sniggers about you use devices, jokes that you believe in, even jokes that you believe in paranormal activity to begin with. So, yeah, I'm pretty much opening myself up to all of that because I've sat through a lot of lives and watched a lot of videos and been irked because of the attitudes of people. It's like you're supposed to believe what they believe, or there will be snickering, eye-rolling, whatnot about you because when you're not around, because you believe things that other people don't. One thing that's often said that investigators will say, oh, I use the, and people laugh at this, you know, and will say, well, why do they say they use these things for the fun of it? Well, the reason people, in my opinion, people say that they use these gadgets for the fun of it is because they're tired of getting backlash for using it because they want to. You know, I think investigators, if you use any of these devices, just say, I use this because I want to get over it. But people get tired of the harassment. It is harassment. Where you say, well, you know, people can't say, we'll agree to disagree, or, okay, well, that's the way you do things. I don't do it that way, but that's okay. You do you. It's this air of we have to convince you that our way is right, that devices are the work of the devil, that they are totally useless, that, you know, yes, and on to, we've been at it 37 minutes. I don't want this to be forever. I don't think you'd want to either. Phone apps. Now, phone apps range from party tricks. I think there's one it's called Ghost Radar. Guarantee every sweep there's going to be a demon behind you. There's another one that it may be Ghost Radar as well. Another one that sweeps your area like it's radar, and the words that always come out are murder, demon, evil. And those are just party tricks. They're for Halloween night when the kids are having a sleepover and they want to spook themselves. Something like that. That's the base level. I haven't tried necrophonic or the necro ones yet. I have used GhostTube, and I know in one group I said you get about 30 to 40% right answers on that. I have since I have reevaluated that, and I would say it's maybe 10 to 15%. Even if you add your own words, and especially the groups that get all the hits on the TV shows, YouTube videos, the fakey people. For the first, I haven't really, written it down, but the ones you can add your own words to it. And the first, I think, couple weeks that you're using it, the words you've recently added will come up first or more frequently. And that drops over time to where they don't come up any more frequently than the words that are pre-programmed in there. I have actually had I would say that there was a good chance that it was a actual interaction where the answers they made sense, they went together, they weren't random, it was all in one voice. See, that's another thing you can do. You can set the voice you want. So if you're in a location and you're, trying to get a woman to come through, then you can program it to have only a woman's voice. So everything that comes through is in a woman's voice. I don't do that. There's a wide variety of voices, and this is the thing about the proper tool and using it in the same location over and over, especially with like GhostTube, that after a while you learn the voices and you learn to pick up on the ones that you don't normally get and what they are saying, and how you as your own human self can filter out what it's throwing out randomly and what is for real response. Like, if I get a response that says seller, well, I don't have a seller. I don't have an attic either. And it's a two-edged sword. This is another point, a two-edged sword. Because I watch investigations where if they listen to everything that comes out of their talkie box, then whoever's debunking it or review it, whatever, will say, oh, well, they're letting the electronics guide their investigation. But if they don't if they don't make note of everything that is said or respond to everything that's said, then the reviewer debunker says, oh, well, they're only picking the things that match their investigation. They're only picking the things that validate what they're saying. So you can't really win, because if you follow everything they say, well, now you're letting it lead your investigation. If you don't, if you hone in on what you want to hear, what you're hoping to hear, what makes sense in your situation, now suddenly you're, using the device to validate you while ignoring the things that don't validate you. So really, that's what you can't win on that one with a lot of people. And where I say I'm going to push a lot of buttons, well, yes, I'm a paranormal investigator. I also investigate in one location. I investigate other locations, but I live in a haunted farm. And this is another thing that gets thrown out. Oh, isn't it convenient? Just go buy a house and say it's haunted and just investigate from your own home. Where it sort of makes it like, well, if you live in a haunted location, you can't investigate there because you live there and people see it as invalid. Where for me, I can investigate daily. I can film things, I can record things, I can do things on a daily basis because I live here. I don't necessarily do that because, you know, who wants to? Well, I live a life. I have a life too. So, you know what I mean? And I don't have a lot of the equipment that other people have, as many cameras, you know, to set up a locked off camera somewhere. So that's another button pusher for people, is if you're, for some reason, if you're investigating in a location you own, and it's not my fault, I didn't set out to buy a haunted farm. I haven't set out to buy any properties that were haunted. And one of the questions I'm working on is how much of it is spirits that might follow me here from place to place versus spirits that are already at the location. Because I've lived in a lot of places with activity. And so, you know, that's something would be something that I will work out in the future. Right now, because I also believe that, although I'll go into the spirits later, this is getting long and it could be really, really long, you know. I'll talk about my beliefs of the spirits later. I have used an SLS camera and got what I believe to be a positive evidence. And I'll talk about that on another thing. But basically, it comes down to, if you want to use these devices, use them. Don't let anybody shame you or make you feel like you're less of an investigator because you want to use these things. If you don't want to use them, more power to you. You want to go totally old school with nothing but a tape recorder and a camera, go for it. No, I don't use the DR60. Couldn't afford one if I wanted to. Basic recording equipment. But use what you want to. Use what you're comfortable with. And yes, it does make investigations more interesting if, you know, you're doing a long investigation, sitting in the dark talking to the walls, for one, isn't going to get you YouTube followers, and two, it's boring. So, you know, put out some other things if you want to. I won't judge you. Other people might, but I won't. Do what you're comfortable with. Do what makes your investigations work for you. Because that's, in the end, it's your investigation. So, I don't know, if you want to leave a comment about any of the gadgets, the gizmos, ask about, or anything that I've left out, I can make a part 2. Oh yeah, down in the bottom, this little thing here, that's the electronic bell. I use the old-fashioned desk bells that motels and stuff use, the bang on the top, bing. I use a lot of mechanical stuff rather than the electronics. But anyway, y'all have a good day. Happy November. See you on the flip side. Bye.